Today I'm going to work on my 1984 Corvette. She needs some touch-up work on the body. It's not a nice paint job, but I'm not going to spend a lot of money on it. We're just going to kind of touch up the spots that need touching up. The paint started bubbling, and I've got a parts car bubbling too. I'm not really sure. If you've got one of these and yours bubbles, let me know about it, because I'm thinking there might have been a problem with these. But anyway, this has got some bubbles, and I've sanded most of the bubbles out. Actually, I had my daughter do it. But right now, I'm going to show you what I've got to deal with, and I'm going to show you how I deal with it. So here we go. I'm going to be putting stripes on the car, but here's one spot here, and this paint's a little bit transparent. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and when I paint it, it's got a pretty good scratch here. We're going to buff out of here before we start. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get this back to matching here to this color, and then I'll paint the stripe, and that way it should be uniform underneath. Some more spots. These are kind of ugly. This one's got a little primer in it, and it's actually filled in pretty nice. And then here's some more. This is where I'm working right this very minute, and I just chipped as much of this as I could out. There's a pretty good lip right here. Well, rather than try to bring all of this down to this level, I'm going to put a little bit of putty in here, but I'm going to use that flexible stuff because this is fiberglass and it's flexible. So I'm going to use some of that flexible stuff that I love so much. Flexible bumper filler, bumper repair, whatever you want to call it. Here's some more. These actually came out. Sometimes the bubbles, you know, you can just sand them and they'll be gone. This is, my daughter did this. She did a pretty good job. But I'm going to have to do a little more sand, and I'm going to lay some of that putty in here, kind of bring it out to about here, and that way it'll make that transition a little bit smoother. Here you can get a little bit look of the bubbles. See, these are sanded, but I can still feel them, so this is going to need some more sand in here. So once I get those smooth, you can see the leprosy on this one, and this is actually a little divot, but we'll just go ahead and fill that with some of that bumper filler, that putty. And pretty much that's how we're going with this. So there's going to be a lot of sanding, and you'll see. I'll show you some of the sanding. There's not a whole lot of point in showing you me sanding for hours and hours and hours. But the way sanding goes is when you think you're done sanding, sand some more. Putting some of the resin on now. I like to mix it right on the car because this stuff doesn't have a very good life, work, what do they call it? Yeah, I can't even think of the words. Work life, you know, you can only work with it. It's going to stay soft for so long. So I like to get it on there and working with it as fast as I can. So I usually mix it right on the car, and I'm not going to use a lot at a time because again, it doesn't have a very good long work life. So as you can see, I put that. This one's a lot runnier, so I'm going to put it. You do equal amounts of both, and usually I just kind of try to suck it back down in the tube by, you know, just kind of pushing the edge of the tube. And I'm going to mix it up. Just kind of mix it together right here on the car. I try to use only a corner of the squeegee, but you'll end up using more of it by the time you're done. And you just kind of mix her together. And the cool thing about doing it on the car is you just kind of spread it as you mix it, you know. Crucial part about it is cleaning. Just get yourself a good cleaner. Get yourself a rag. You don't have to worry about dust at this point, so you don't have to tack it or anything. Just clean it up real good with some kind of a cleaner, and that way you'll be sure to. Well, let's get this crack. I'm going to put a little bit in it too. Alright, look at this scratch. And we'll just spread a little bit of putty in that just to kind of ease off the sanding a little bit. Here's little tidbits that most shows or most videos aren't going to show you, but I think it's important, is how do you clean the stuff off your squeegee? Because if you don't have any way to clean this stuff off, you can scrape it off, you can, there's like a million ways you can do this sort of stuff, but I find lacquer thinner, just a cheapest lacquer thinner you can get. Just get some of that lacquer thinner, just wipe it off. Take your hand and run it down the area, and if you can feel it, you can see it. Right now, it feels pretty good. Got a little divot here, but I'm going to have to fill that. And another tiny one there, that's spot putty will take care of. This one's going to need a little bit of a filler. Other than that, we're good here. We've got to kind of come back over to this area just a tiny bit, but that won't take very long at all.
It's like something out of a movie. You see right through me. It's like you already do me. We can go up, or we can go down. Left or right, do or die. Come on, don't be shy. We can go up, or we can go down. Left or right, do or die.
I'm not sure what happened here, but I've got a soft spot right in here, and I don't know if it's because it just didn't mix well, or if yeah, it just didn't mix well. That's probably my fault. But see, she's peeling right off, so it didn't mix well. That's my fault. It's kind of cold, and I just didn't spend enough time mixing it, I guess. So we're gonna have to dig this out of here and kind of start over. Oh yeah, it's like raw putty in here. So I just didn't get it mixed up real good. So we're gonna go ahead and scrape out. Good, and that's one of the problems that you're gonna run into. You gotta make sure you knead that putty in there really well. Otherwise you're gonna end up with a problem like this. It's also really cold. Well, it's not cold. Well, it was colder. It's just barely above 50, I think, if it is at all today. So we might have problems, and so we may end up aborting this mission, simply because I don't want to do this again once we get it done. These cars are prone to this sort of thing. The original paint was bubbling. That white one in the other video where I pulled the engine out of, the parts car, that also had peeling paint. These cars have a paint issue for some reason. And this one I don't think is the car's fault. I think this one's all on me, because I just didn't mix it good. Some of that's because of the cold, probably, because when I was trying to mix it, it was the putty was really stiff. I mean, like really stiff. I could hardly get it out of the tube. And this time I got a little smarter, and I actually left the putty in the warmth, in a warm place.
It's like something out of a movie. You see right through me. It's like you already do me. We can go up, or we can go down.
I've been sanding for a while on this, and always use a block. never use your hand unless it's like a small corner or something like this, you know, then you can try to use your hand. But you'll see a couple of dark spots like right here and like here, and then a couple of little spots here. All right, and then this dark spot's okay. I can feel that there's nothing there. That's nice and smooth. But here we got some ridges and a dark spot. If I run my hand across it, I can feel that that's low. That's a low spot. So that's in the fiberglass. That was there before I ever started. And so we're going to go ahead and have to build that up a little bit with some of the putty. And here, you'll see I'm through here and I'm through here, but yet I still have a little line right here that I can feel. And this is where I stop applying the putty. But as you can see, this is a spot, a high spot, because as I'm sanding, it's higher here than it is here. So we're going to get a little bit of putty and we're going to fill in this area here and blend it a little more, and then we'll blend that some more. But we're going to fill in this low spot, get these little ridges, because I've been sanding over them and they're below the rest of the metal, under the metal fiberglass, sorry about that. And then everything else feels really good. We got a little booger here, tiny one there. That'll probably sand out. A low spot here and a low spot here. Everything else, pretty good. So we're going to just get a little bit of putty here, a little bit of putty in these spots, fill in these low spots, build them up a little bit, and we'll just keep doing putty, sanding, putty, sanding. Now I'm going to go ahead and sand the rest of the spots that I've been working on. I'll get everything sanded, and that way once I put some putty on, I can go over the whole car and start sanding it. Well, it's getting kind of cold and putty time is over. No more putty. It's not going to happen. I did get a couple of spots done-ish. That put a little primer on them. It's getting too cold to primer at this point. But try to do body work in winter time. It's coming around winter. It's just before December. What is today? The 29th. A couple more days. It's December, so technically it's winterish. Just can't do any more putty work, just getting too cold, unless I want to run the heat in the shop, and that way you won't hear me because the heater is loud. But nonetheless, I'll show you a couple of spots that are done, ready for some primer, and then go down to probably a 220 and then a 400 grit, trying to get it smooth enough. So just primer, 220, primer, 400 will get it ready for paint. Probably not going to happen until springtime, but I didn't want to hold this video back any further, so I'm going to show you a couple of spots that are done as far as sanding goes and puttying. I got a couple of more spots, I'll show you those too, that I had to put a little bit more putty. This stuff is not that easy to work with because it dries really fast, and if you don't mix it good, as I showed you in an earlier part of this video, if you don't mix it good, you're going to go back and do it again. So digging it out with a knife. So anyway, let's take a quick look at what I've got done and show you exactly what we'll be doing next. This is that spot in the hood. As you can see, she's got different layers. And being fiberglass, that's not surprising because it's just all different layers. And so if you run your hand across here though, you can't feel, and sometimes it helps close your eyes too. See, close your eyes. But you close your eyes and you feel it with your hand, and if you can't feel a change, you're good to go. Same here. I sanded my buttocks off on this one, and sanding and sanding, and see I went down to the primer in some spots, but no fiberglass, because the fiberglass is yellow. There's a couple of spots like, whoo, there's yellow. That's fiberglass. So anyway, run your hand, your eyes closed, can't feel it. And this was the low spot. This is the spot that had the chunk of paint missing out of it, and I can feel a tiny, tiny, tiny ridge there. I mean, barely. I think once I primer that and sand it with some finer grit, I think that's going to go away. We'll find out. If not, I'll be sanding some more. Here's some spots that weren't done. I put a little bit, had a couple of spots here. A little spot there I had to put some putty. Another spot here that I had to put a little bit of putty. This came out okay down this end. And then a couple of more spots here and here, where I had to put a little bit more putty, and that's going to sit just like that. Probably, I might try to sand on a little bit more today, but it's getting kind of cold. And then I had this one little bitty spot over here, and there we go. Just these one little. This was actually just like a little chip in the paint, so I went ahead and I did that one too. But that's pretty much it, and this all looks good. This has all been primed. A little bit of running going on here, but when I sand it with 400, that'll clean up. So that's pretty much it. My plans are to blend these areas once I sand them down with 400. I'm going to go ahead and make sure this primer. If not, I'll make it all one color with some primer. Then I'm going to sand it with a 400. I'm going to spray these areas with the color until it kind of matches the rest of the color, which is really filthy right now, so you can't see that. Until it matches the color. Then I'm going to put one coat over the entire top of the car, just to so that it'll all be uniform, because it's a metallic paint. If I paint one panel and not the other, it's not going to match. So I'm going to put one coat, and just kind of a mist coat, I guess they call it, and just put a mist coat over the whole car. And then if it doesn't blend good, then I'll put a second mist coat. By then I'm going to be out of paint. I only bought a quart, but then I'm going to clear the entire car. So there you go. That's that's pretty much going to be this particular video. I kind of hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I've got some fans out there as far as the C4s go. My other C4, I've only done one other video for C4, C4 Corvette, and it's doing well. So I'm guessing some of you guys are big fans of these cars, and so I wanted to try to put this one out there for you. It's probably not going to get any primer or paint until spring at this point, but I will try to bring her back around as soon as possible. I do have some interior work. I got to get some tinting off the windows, so I might go ahead and do that while it's winter time. And so maybe there's a few more projects, get the interior done. I can't really put this panel over here in because I've got to paint. As you can see, there's no mirror. So the mirror is sitting in the front seat. That's got to be painted as well, because I had to get one from another car because this mirror was trashed, and so that's why that's boogered up there. So anyway, that's kind of this one, and hope you enjoyed it. I could use some subscribers. If you guys really like these C4 videos, then by all means subscribe, throw in some comments, say, hey man, let's see some more of the C4. And every time I see C4, I think explosives. Sorry, I just do. I pulled that engine out. You saw me pull the engine out in the other video. I will be putting nitrous. I'll be plumbing nitrous into that manifold that's on that one, and then eventually be going on this one that we're working on. So stick with me, guys and girls, and hopefully we'll do some more videos that you all will enjoy. Appreciate you watching.